Very often, as with cars and with aircraft, the initial choice is, do I build an American vessel or do I build in Europe? And most often, Americans will choose a European shipyard. Once having made that decision, if it's a mega yacht, you're going to be looking primarily in Germany. If it is a mega to medium-sized yacht, you certainly have to also consider the Netherlands. Italy offers the full spectrum. They can build as large as the Germans can build, but the Italians have many shipyards, and they turn out custom and semi-custom yachts like nobody else does. In fact, the country of Italy are the largest yacht producers in the world, and they have consistently been that for decades. So when we look at Italy, you've got the two mega builders. Benetti is the largest yacht builder in the world, and then you've got Ferretti Group, and they are overall, they specialize in production yachts. They have divisions that will do custom yachts. But if you've made the decision to look in Italy and you go beneath the tier of the very largest builders, the Benetti and the Ferretti Group, then you get to San Lorenzo, and you get to a second level of semi-custom builders. But beneath that are boutique builders. And there are phenomenal shipyards that are not particularly well known. And that's what we're going to concentrate on today. In particular, because somebody that I worked with at the Ferretti Group some years ago is now running Rosetti Superyachts. And Rosetti, which has fantastic credentials in building rugged offshore commercial vessels, made the decision with Fulvio to go into expedition yacht custom and semi-custom construction. And that, of course, got my attention because I love expedition yachts. So just quickly, Rosetti Marine Group has 1,200 employees. They build high-tech offshore oil support vessels, and those are the most sophisticated commercial boats in the world. So that's a very good pedigree for any shipyard to have. So this is a substantial enterprise, and it stands up to any of the other yacht builders in terms of the size and scope of their capabilities. So they have in-house designers, engineers, naval architects, everything that you would look for in a sophisticated shipyard. They've launched over 120 ships ranging from 40 meters to 140 meters. Now in 2017, they brought in Fulvio Dodich, who was one of the chief executives that made the Ferretti Group into what it is today. Fulvio has reached out to his network of leading yacht designers, and they have projects from 40 meters to 150 meters. In particular, they're working with Italian designer Tommaso Spadolini. So today we're catching up with Fulvio, who is in the shipyard. Good afternoon to you, Fulvio. I wanted to know a little bit of background about this shipyard.
The basic business originally in the boating industry is coming from commercial. That means strength. That means vessel able to sail in the water, also in the most difficult water, 365 days, 24/7. Then one day we decided, why not yachts? We have an heritage. Why not to use all our knowledge and take advantage of the best designer and enter the yachting business? That's why I am here, Paul.
And you come over from having been involved with very sophisticated yacht building and one of the largest yacht builders in the world, really, the Ferretti Group.
Yes, you're right. But that's the 25 years of experience that I have behind myself are exactly one of the most important thing of this, let me say, story of Rosetti Superyachts. I know the major players, all the competitors, but also a lot of customers. That's very important because during this period, I have learned what customer wish. I have learned which are, in the majority of the cases, their dreams. But especially, I have understood in which way you can make their dreams to come true, and that's very important. Because our work, daily work, is taking dreams and converting them into vessels, into yachts. Especially today, one message that was already present at the time in which I originated my experience, that was Ferretti. What is a yacht? At that time, we were used to say yacht is matching the wish of a customer that want to encounter nature. Today is much more than that. This message is much more important today because the respect on the environment, if 25 years ago was at the initial stage, today is very strong. So it's not only I want to live in nature, is I want to live in nature, I want to respect, I want to go and see places for which I need the strong yachts.
What I found working between straight yacht builders and the commercial builders and the commercial builders that went into yachts is that the commercial builders are very sophisticated. As you say, they have to work 365 days a year. But the electronics that they use, the systems that they use are on a par or sometimes out in front of what the yacht industry is doing.
You are perfectly right. But this is a big advantage because you see, is easier to downgrade or is it easier to upgrade? Probably the first one is the right thing that we can say, because at the end of the story, our big group is able and very strong in what is called EPCI. That is a bad word that means engineering, that means procurement, construction, and installation. So we are used to work with subcontractors. And what the yacht industry is normally doing, especially in Europe, you are using subcontractors. So to make a yacht, at the end of the story, you need a perfect joinery, a subcontractor. You need perfect electronics, a company providing navigation system and communication system, yacht entertainment systems, and you need another subcontractors, and you put all together into a nice box designed by one of the best designers, whomever he is. It is easier for a company manufacturing commercial vessel to produce a yacht. It's almost impossible for a company manufacturing yachts to produce a commercial vessel.
Yeah, especially when they start to build above their size comfort.
The boating industry has a lot of disaster, historically speaking.
Yeah, and also in the commercial world, you better deliver on time and on budget.
In a yacht, a delay means a customer that is unhappy. But in the commercial vessel, a supply vessel or a platform, as we were used to manufacture, that is stopped for one day means $millions per day. So you need.
When you started the line of yachts, what was your first project?
We had a customer since the beginning. We wanted to have a 38, two engines, 735 horsepower each, Caterpillar. The one in construction has MAN engine because this was the decision taken by the customer. The 40-meter can have same engine or the C32 Caterpillar, that means more power and bigger engine. And in terms of sailing of the range is 5,000 nautical miles. This particular boat is not ice class, but there is no problem if a customer is asking for a similar one with ice class. We have a lot of surveyors who came here to understand what we are able to manufacture, and they were surprised with the quality of the steel construction. And Paul, this is natural because we are not coming from yacht. We are not saving money in steel thickness or in welding because that's our skill, is where we come from.
Do you think of it as an expedition yacht?
It is, because the customer came to us and one of the things he wishes to do is stop doing his present work and stay on board for years. So, I mean, in spite of the size of the boat, 38 meter, in any case, the boat is able to stay in the water for years without big problem. There is huge storage for food. There is a huge cellar for wine that is so important for the customer. A rough hull able to sail the seven seas and wonderful and terrific interiors.
I mean, there's absolutely no reason that vessels of this size can't do anything that the larger vessels can do. We had a 141-foot boat that went down into the ice. They didn't make it to Antarctic, but they were down in Patagonia, actually going through the ice. No problem. If it is built and spec'd out to do that, size is not going to be a problem.
The fuel consumption is unbelievably low, and that engines allow that. At the very same time, We are speaking about an engine that, if you are thinking about what is considered to be an explorer boat or expedition boat, Caterpillar is giving you the possibility to find spare parts in the middle of nothing, as we are used to say. I mean, you are in the middle of nothing, you need spare parts. With Caterpillar, you can find them.
What's your construction time if once you start to cut steel, once they have made their decisions?
Normally, keep in mind that if we should do a 38 or 8 meter this time, the delivery time is 23 months, 24 maximum.
Tell us about the Orca project.
I'm very proud of the Orca. Orca is a great project that I think is really matching the feelings of the majority of the people of this world today. I did that with Meccano. They have a very long story of projects of yachts, and they have also a designer there. So we started together saying we want to build a boat that must be an expedition done as a supply vessel, maybe a flat deck with a lot of space for toys, a big garage, because if it is a real expedition, you cannot keep everything outside, and multi-purpose. That means that you can use the deck if you are in hot climate as a party area for some of the customers that wish. You must have space for the helicopter, for the submarine, for big tender, for snow sledges, snowmobile as well, and that is how we started. And we came out with the Orca. Orca as a design that is reflecting. Orca in Italian means killer whale. Sorry, first of all. The killer whale, if you look at the design of the Orca and you put a killer whale on the top of that, you will discover that the white area that is on the side of Orca is coming. You see now the Orca there, that white spot on the side is again on the 65 meter. Well, this said, Orca has a range of 7,000 nautical miles. The fuel consumption is very low. There are 6 cabins on board for 12 people, and basically 20 people of crew that can be and this can be changed depending on the wish of the customer. So is a standard since the beginning, is a nice class and has any kind of comfort on board, and a lot of place from which the customer and his guest can observe what is around.
They can actually get out there on the bow in front of the bridge.
Is what we have engineered. We have decided that the side helmet station, the 2 side wings, can be used when maneuvering a side wings, but at the very same time, when sailing or you are a tanker, that is very normal on this type of boats, or you are using the DP1 system, staying there with no anchor at all, but without moving yourself, guests and the owner can go there and use that as a big closed terrace that can be also open if you want, because they are protected, but they can see the nature around them.
Now, the basic hull platform, is that one of your offshore platforms?
When we did Orca, we started with the idea of having a nice boat and the hull made especially for a yacht, but taking all the advantage from the commercial vessel. So let me say that is a crossover, if we want to use a word that is so common today in cars, because it's a sort of mixture between a yacht design and a commercial vessel design in terms of the hull. And take into consideration that the project already started with 3 different type of transom, basically 2. That is the one with the helipad. So there is an elevation where the helicopter can land, is a touch and go. If the customer would ask, there is the possibility to design that with an hangar, but obviously it's a different design, and we are doing custom. So I mean to make an hangar is not a problem for us.
All right. So say I have an American client. They're looking at Germany, Italy, Holland. What would you say to them?
That at the end of the day, the in terms of let me say strength of the construction, we are like the best North German or Dutch company, because we have an heritage, as we were saying before. And in terms of interiors, we are using the same subcontractor they do. So at the end of the story, they can pay a little bit less than going to the German, to the Dutch, for a boat that is giving the same thing and in some cases also better things.
And at this point, would you call yourself a boutique builder?
Boutique manufacturer is probably the right word. And this is a sort of mission that is not declared to be our mission, but is our real mission, is to become the German shipyard in Italy. So we don't want to make another Italian shipyard. We have already too many, but we want to qualify ourselves at the top level of construction. We have the skill to do that. We have the experience to do that. And we have also the facilities to do that.
It's also an advantage where a customer feels that they can get you on the phone and that they can see you because you don't have this giant operation. So there's a personal touch.
In the yacht business, Paul, must be like that. It's too much personal relationship between the person that are at the yard and the customer. This is part of something that I've tried to, and I've told many times, and I've tried to transfer this knowledge. Each shipyard is a shipyard, but at the end of the day, if you take the list of the shipyard, I am pretty sure, Paul, that I give you a name and you tell me which is the face behind. So the big difference is the yachting business is a personal relationship between the customer and the shipyard, where shipyard doesn't mean nothing because it must be between the customer and persons that are at the shipyards. And this is what the customers like.
And over time, brand is all about taking care of your customer after delivery.
Yeah, but Paul, this is very simple. Who is the customer? You know who is? Sometimes the industries, in many cases, I'm not speaking on the yachting only, forget the major point. If I have an industry, I exist because I have clients. And clients are those who are giving me the possibility to live, and I have to respect, help them, and satisfy them. This is the real mission that we have.
Yeah, and they have to have fun.
Absolutely. In the case of yachts, they must have fun.
Yeah.
So you change the process from having fun to, I have to go to the shipyard, you have a problem.
It's also important that you have good restaurants near your shipyard, which I'm sure you do.
Oh, this is Italy, Paul.
What's your next motorcycle adventure?
I don't know. By the time, my biggest adventure is to come to the shipyard with a motorbike. That is something I am doing. But then I don't know. I am dreaming to go back to Africa again, and probably instead of going to Africa, I will go to Morocco. But I like desert. I like strange place where there is nobody, and I have no idea. But I will go in one of these places.
And what's your motorcycle of choice these days?
BMW 1250 GS Adventure, 14 motorbike until now from BMW.
All right. Well, we got something here, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. And that concludes today's podcast from the Yacht Channel, and we look forward to seeing you here again next week.